where I craft while I recap live trials. Currently, I am recapping the trial of the ice cream man for the murder of 2 individuals and the attempted murder of 4 other people. Yup, he's in trouble. So, today, I've been very busy this morning, but it is Friday. I'm your host, Rebecca, aka Crafting Journey, and on Friday, we get out of our chairs, we get up, we put our crafts down, we take a deep breath, and we get up, and we Friday dance. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yes, I got a haircut, I got a haircut. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, that's it. It's all the energy I have. Okay. Yes, all the unhealthy hair was taken off. This will grow back pretty quick, but I can still put it up in a ponytail, which you know I love to do. And it's curly, and they put in some leave-in conditioner, and it's so soft. Oh my God, I love it. So this morning I've been very, very busy making all the bobbins for the March gnome. As you know, I'm doing it's a crochet along, stitch along that occurred last year. I don't know how I missed it last year, but I'm doing it this year. So I'm stitching along with myself. Nobody else is doing it. Let me show you the January and the February gnomes. So each month we do a gnome. I do a gnome. Here's January, and yes, they're large, but it's going to be a large blanket. I want it to be large. There's January. So pretty. And February. There's February. And you can see the colors for the March gnome are these leprechaun cover-up colors. Here's the pattern. Little leprechaun. So he's got 2 colors of green. Here we got 2 colors of green. The orange and the trim I'm doing in this gorgeous gray. The picture of it had like a very, very pale green. I'm trying to use the yarn that I have in my stash, which is a lot. So I found this beautiful Vanna White, light gray. The rest of this yarn is Red Heart Super Saver. And I've already started it. Yes. Well, so I finished the first 3 rows. So I have the written pattern here. And as I do the rows, I just check them off. That's it. So, but each row gets, it gets longer and longer, and then that's the increase, and then you'll decrease as you go up. So one of the other things I was doing this morning, underneath here is the puzzle. Last week, I don't know if I told you that it was over there, the puzzle table was over there. This morning, you can see it's on top of that box that Stitch was playing in on the preview for this morning's show. I was just waiting for him to go all in, or for me to have to go rescue and get his head out of that box. Crazy cat. I need some coffee. Oh, that dance wore me out. Man. So, just a word about the new series on Lucy Letby. I'm going to try to get the first show out this morning. It's way more involved than I had anticipated, and I really want to. There's a lot of questions that I have that I want answers to before I talk to you guys about it. So, anyway, let's get on with the show. So, the first thing I want to express about this trial. Love the judge. Love the judge. The defendant, the ice cream man. Shortly, I'm going to show you a video of what he looked like back in 2010. This is a video that was shown to the jurors. So if you look at that video and then you look at what he looks like in court, now they have got him dressed up like Mr. Rogers. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have the neighbor just like you. Seriously, he's got these. Today he's wearing a yellow cardigan over his shirt. I mean, is he wearing Keds? I don't know, but Christ, it's so funny. Okay, I need to start the next row. So this is just your regular corner to corner stitch. The reason I need so many bobbins is because this, you're changing colors quite a bit. So that's why. Yep, that's all, folks. Okay, my bobbining didn't go as well as planned with this gray yarn. So we're going to talk about the testimony yesterday. First was the medical examiner. She did autopsies on the 2 murder victims, Juan and Sergio Gitron. And it's kind of sad because their mother is, they were brothers. Their mom is in the courtroom, and this was probably pretty tough to watch. So, and of course, they always show pictures to the jury. I don't know why. You tell me somebody was shot in the head, I'll believe you. I don't need to see the picture. I really don't. I'll take your word for it. So, her job is to determine the cause of death based on her findings at autopsy and any other information she receives, and determine the manner of death. So, she determined that the cause of death was gunshot wounds, and the manner of death was homicide for both brothers. So she said that she followed the trajectory, the path of the wound through the head, and said that it was consistent with gunshots to the back of the head, somebody standing behind them. They were most likely kneeling, that it was consistent with someone who would be kneeling. And yeah, that was it. Manner of death, homicide. There you go. Just sort of cut dry, But one of the elements of murder is that there has to be a death. So you have to have a medical examiner come on and testify. Yep, they're dead. Yep, dead. So then the jury gets to hear the recorded testimony of a witness named Henry Bowes and his wife. They're now deceased. The testimony was that Michael Keatley visited them at their home because the day after the murders, because he wanted Henry to paint his van two-tone. He had a blue van, and he wanted Henry to paint it two-tone color for him. Okay. Then they showed the jury. Am I doing this right? Oh, yeah. Then they showed the jury a news clip of a reporter talking about the January 2010 robbery of Michael Keatley, and he's interviewed, and here is that clip.
You may publish it.
Ice cream truck, so popular in South Hillsboro, is parked. The driver's seat stained with blood, and its owner, Mike Keatley.
Here, you can see the bullet hole.
Well, he's grateful to be alive after being shot 5 times.
I didn't see it coming.
About 2 weeks ago, Keatley was driving through this neighborhood when a young woman flagged him down. He thought she wanted a cold treat, but what happened next was chilling.
She was just smiling, happy as everything was fine. Took 2 steps back. The next thing you know, I got a guy with a gun in my face.
2 masked men robbed Keatley of all he had, a couple of books. But they didn't just leave.
Just boom, 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 boom. And every time the heart would beat, I'd just see blood just shooting out.
With blood just pumping out of him, Mike needed help and fast, but he couldn't use his hands to get his phone. So somehow he managed to drive down the road and find a family.
He's the only one we buy from.
Some of Keatley's regular customers helped save his life.
Up to there. That's about as high as I can get it.
Keatley's road to recovery will be long, his future uncertain, but he knows one thing.
They're absolute scum.
He wants this violent gang caught.
And if they were so brazen to shoot me like this over $12, they're gonna just kill anybody. They don't care now.
In Hillsborough County, Catherine Bursch, 10 Connects.
All right, little new.
Interesting, huh? So they're trying to set it up as, you know, like he wanted to get these guys, you know, he's gonna go get them. So they get to see that. Then the next person on the stand, this fellow was really interesting. David Beckwith. So the first thing they did was they had an aerial photograph of Michael Keatley's parents' property. Apparently it's quite large, and they had him demonstrate like where Michael Keatley's parents' house is. So that sits on the property. In front of their home is a residence. It's on his parents' property, but there's another home. And in that home, this David Beckwith's brother lives there. And then in front of that home, there's another home, and that's where Michael Keatley was living before the gunshots. After the gunshots, he was living at his parents' house, and they were taking care of him. And this guy testified to that. Yeah, after the gunshots, he was being taken care of by his parents. Now, he has opinions on whether Michael Keatley needed his parents' help. So, but we didn't get to hear what they were. Apparently, there is no love lost between David Beckwith and Michael Keatley. So, from 2010, after the shooting, well, between 2008 and 2010, David Beckwith moved in and out of his brother's house several times. He's gonna, you know, he left his wife, he goes back to his wife, he left his, you know, back and forth. So, he apparently in 2007 he had an accident where he was crushed by a horse. After that, he was working at a place called AK Motorcycles. He was building motorcycles, and the AK standard for Alan and Kevin is what he said, but it was marketed as like the weapon, the AK, you know, like this was a tough guy place. Yeah, motorcycle gangs, I don't know. I'm getting it tangled up with other bobbins here. So, of course, the jury is going to be allowed to determine the credibility of this witness, and one of the things that goes towards that credibility is the fact that he is a 3-time convicted felon. So the prosecution brings that out because they don't want the defense to bring it out. So they bring it out. Okay, have you been convicted of a felony? Yes, 3 times. We don't know what it is. I'm curious, but we don't know what it is for. Now, that might come out on cross, but the defense attorney did not finish his cross by the end of the day. So that picked up again this morning. Same witness is on the stand this morning. Okay. So he starts work. He knew about the shooting. He knew about the robbery. And after that, he goes to work for Michael Keatley. So Michael Keatley takes him out to this field, you know, on the property, and there's like an old car there and an old van there, and they're shooting at the car, and Michael wants to make sure he knows how to shoot this .45 because Michael's going to work with him on the ice cream truck, you know, being the person that sells the ice cream, takes the orders, takes the money, and Michael will do the driving. But they wanted to be protected because Michael Keatley takes this truck into like the worst neighborhoods. So they're out there shooting, and he said that Michael Keatley was able to shoot a .45 and a .380. I know nothing about guns. I don't know what they look like. I don't know, okay. And he was doing it with his right hand, which he was you saw in that video that he was doing therapy on that right hand. So, and he described the gun, the .45, as being kind of a plastic gun, not metal. I never heard of a plastic weapon, but that's what it was. So what they would do is when they would go on the ice cream truck, Michael would drive. Up front, he had with him a .380 and a .22, and the .45 would be in the back with David Beckwith. And that's how they rolled. So Beckwith was asked about, did Michael ever mention the shooting to customers? And he's like, oh, every day. And by that he meant, he would just ask the people, hey, have you heard anything about who might have shot me? Things like that. He talked about one time that their little girl came up to the van and he said, I think your sister was involved in my shooting. Do you have a picture of her? And really upset the little girl. And the little girl showed him a picture of her sister. And he said, oh, no, that's not her. But he scared the heck out of this little girl, according to David Beckwith. So there were a lot of times that, he was bringing up this shooting, trying to figure out who had done it. Now, the name Creeper, he said, came up when they stopped one time at the rec center or recreation center in one of these bad neighborhoods, and somebody mentioned that Creeper might have been involved, and that's how we, Michael Keatley ended up with the name Creeper. Now, the prosecution did go back and ask, what race was this little girl? And he said African American, not Hispanic. Then he was asked about conversations that he had with Michael about planning what he was going to do. And he says, oh, yeah, he talked about it all the time. He was planning on buying it. Hi, what are you doing, baby? Do you want to go outside? Come on. He was planning to buy a Crown Victoria and dress up like a police officer and go after these people. Isn't that convenient testimony? And he was going to make them disappear. In other words, kidnap them. And that was David Beckwith's words. But apparently when he was probed, he said, no, he didn't really say that. He didn't use the word kidnap, but he was going to make them disappear. And he said, and I was willing to help him do that. If he asked me to help him, I would do that. I would help him make those guys disappear. Well, aren't you a nice guy? I know, I shouldn't give my opinion like that, right? All right. But this is not a guy you want to be friends with, this guy. He's very squirrely looking. So they had a falling out, and it happened when Michael drove the truck, the ice cream truck, into one of like the worst neighborhood out of all the bad neighborhoods. And David Beckwith expressed that he was not comfortable with this neighborhood. I don't want to be in this neighborhood. We're going to get jacked. And Michael Keatley started laughing at him. And then they exchanged words, cursing, calling each other names, and making David Beckwith feel little. That's his words. So he said, you know what? Stop the van. Stop the truck. Just let me get out of here. Just stop the truck. Well, he wouldn't stop the truck. So David Beckwith took the .45 weapon and put it to his temple and said, stop the truck. Of course, he stopped the truck. So Beckwith gets off the truck, takes the clip out of the weapon, and throws the weapon at him because he said, I want my gun back. So he throws the gun and he throws the clip at him. And he goes off on his merry way. Apparently he doesn't really remember exactly where he went. Might have been his friend's house, might have been his ex-girlfriend's house. He doesn't remember. So later on, the police get a hold of him after the murders of Juan and Sergio. The police get a hold of him and they want to interview him. So they meet over at this AK motorcycle place, the one I talked about earlier, Alan and Kevin's motorcycle place, AK. And he meets with the police there, and he brings his wife because he wants a witness because he does not trust police officers. So, I want to make sure I'm not doing this too far. Wait a minute. Okay, so I'm right at this part where I need to add another color. So I'm going to stop there because I'll do that off camera. So he gets to this AK motorcycle place. The cop's there, and he tells the cop, because I am not talking to you without immunity. Now, at this point, the attorneys are arguing about whether this is hearsay or not hearsay, and what is the exception. And that takes like 30 minutes of time, because at one, they go sidebar for 10 minutes, and then the judge says, he sends the jury out, they argue some more, then the judge says, listen, I'm going to give you 10 minutes to find me a case that says what you're saying is correct, that this should come in. So 10 minutes later, he comes back, he's got a case, the judge reads through the case and says, okay, I'm going to allow it to come in. So then we get to find out that, yeah, he asked for immunity. Now I'm thinking, what? Immunity from what? What has he done wrong? Well, I forgot. Oh my gosh, he's a convicted felon. He's not supposed to be out there shooting guns or carrying weapons or, putting guns to people's heads or things like that. So they leave. He leaves because he says, I'm not talking to you. Go get me some immunity. So the cop goes to the state attorney's office, and they give him immunity. He gets a subpoena. The subpoena outlines that he has immunity from prosecution for anything he might testify to in this case. Total immunity forever and ever. They can never come back for him. Yeah. And isn't that a sweet deal? And he's like, what do you mean? These guys. Okay. So that's when he starts talking and telling this whole story about, he's going to buy the Lincoln, and he's going to dress up as a cop, and he's going to make him disappear. So without immunity, they could have arrested him for, possession of a firearm. And so that's kind of where it leaves off, this testimony. Because it's the end of the day. They're arguing about something else, and they're sidebar. And so this is what I have done so far. Okay. So I'll cover the rest of David Beckwith's testimony on Monday. Yep. Don't forget, Sunday I'll be live at 11 a.m. So let's continue the Sarah Cruzan sex trafficking story. I started it yesterday. As you recall, she was groomed from the time she was 11 to 16, and she was sex trafficked by this guy, and she ended up murdering him. She gets to the trial, and she's not allowed to mention that she was sex trafficked by this guy, and that's why she did it. So she's convicted and sentenced to life in prison. She was charged as an adult, sentenced to life in prison. Okay. So part 2, pleas of clemency, or pleas for clemency. In 2010, Sarah Cruzan's case was spotlighted by State Senator Leland Yee as an example of overly harsh juvenile sentences in the state of California. On January 3rd, 2011, California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger commuted Cruzan's life sentence to 25 years to life with the possibility of parole, citing her age at the time of Howard's killing and the abuse she had suffered at his hands. In January of 2013, Yee's bill to ease juvenile justice sentences became law in California state, and a judge reduced Cruzan's conviction from first-degree murder to second-degree murder, making her eligible for parole. In September of that year, another bill passed that required parole boards in California give special considerations to incarcerated people who were tried as adults when they were minors and had spent more than 15 years in jail. Cruzan was released on parole on October 31st, 2013, after serving 19 years. Cruzan is an activist who advocates increasing protections for victims of sex trafficking and ending juvenile life sentences nationally. Wow. Oh my goodness. So she was quoted as saying, "Today I am intentionally positioned alongside others who are rooted in principles that are devoted to the healing and wellness of our communities, to share, encourage, and inspire others who are incarcerated and who are transitioning out. My core mission is to empower and offer awareness for independent and interdependent skills to those who have been dehumanized." This is Sarah Cruzan on her life's mission since being released from prison. for killing the man who sex trafficked her while she was a minor. That whole situation is so sad. So she was 16, so she would be 26, 29 years old. Wait a minute. No, 19, 20, 36 years old when she got out of prison. So sad. So unnecessary, isn't it? Oh my gosh, yeah. Okay. So that is the show for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. It lets YouTube know that I exist. Yes. And they show off my video to other people. So please consider subscribing. Also, if you're already subscribed, consider becoming a member. You can do so for as little as $1.99 a month. And the donation goes to help support the content of the channel. Yarn. So have a great Friday, everybody. I will see you Sunday in the live at 6:30 p.m. or in the other series that I'm going to start today involving Lucy Letby. She's being tried for the murder of 7 babies and the attempted murder of 10 other children, babies, in the neonatal intensive care unit over in the UK. So I'll see you then. Bye.